Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
This is my top 5 YouTube shows of 2021. I believe this is Happy New Year's, everybody. Hope everybody had a great New Year. And I'll be doing a lot of top 5s of my favorite things from last year, including TV shows, including movies, podcasts. But starting it off with my top 5 YouTube shows, this is a different category than my top 5 podcasts, which I will do tomorrow, because I think podcast is more of an audio medium, and then YouTube shows, even though they are podcasts, it's, I don't know. I wanted to split them up because there's some that don't exist in one form or the other. So starting off with my number 5 favorite YouTube show of 2021 is Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman. Rick Glassman has been a guest multiple times on other shows that I really enjoy, like Tiger Belly. I think he was on Trash Tuesday for an episode. He's been on, he's Tiger Belly a few times, and I enjoy him on those podcasts. There's probably been other ones. I'm blanking on them. So eventually I went over to his podcast and took a look at Take Your Shoes Off, and it is a lot of fun. I really enjoy. He's got a fun style. It's a typical conversation podcast where he, just has a guest on and they have a conversation for an hour, hour and a half. And he's a stand-up comedian. He usually has on stand-up comedians, so it's funny. And some editing flourishes that help, add to the comedy. But a really fun show. He has some fun guests on, and I enjoy it. It's a show that brings me joy, and that is why it's my number 5. Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman. My number 4 favorite YouTube show of 2021 is Jeremiah Wonders. This is a show hosted by Jeremiah Watkins, who's a stand-up comedian, he's a musician. He's does sketch and improv. He does a lot of different things within the comedy sphere. He's not just a one-note comic who just gets on stage with a mic and a stool. He does a lot of things. He explores a lot of the many different types of comedy that are available within the genre of entertainment. And Jeremiah Wonders is a show that I don't know if you could listen to it. It's a show that I prefer to watch. That is why it's on this list. And it's because they do characters. Depends on the guest. He'll have a guest on, usually a comedian as well. And they'll do characters, they'll do sketches, they'll do, things. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they'll just have conversations. But it's a fun kind of free-form podcast, a show that I enjoy watching quite a bit. Jeremiah is a funny comedian and somebody that I was a big fan of him and his characters on a show that I no longer subscribe to and will not mention. But let's just say I'm happy that the people that he was in a band with on that other show are doing bigger and better things than what that show has become. Let's just put it that way. That show took a turn, and I couldn't take it anymore. Oh, this is one of them. It's kind of interesting. But anyway, I love Jeremiah Wonders. It's a lot of fun. If you like sketch shows, it's similar to that. They're not doing full-on sketches, but they'll play characters and go back and forth and riff and have fun. It's a fun, fun comedy show to watch. Put on, feel good. That's why it's on the list. Number 4, Jeremiah Wonders. The Many Faces is an ongoing abstract ink portrait series that I started many years ago. I release a new face every day, but go to inspireddisorder.com to check them out. So many available. But as a listener to The Ray Taylor Show, you can save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out. So go to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. Go check them out. Browse the entire collection. And when you decide on a piece, or maybe multiple pieces, make sure you use coupon code INSPIRED when you check out, and you'll save 10%. As a big thank you for checking out my work, for collecting my work, and for listening to The Ray Taylor Show. And with that said, let's get back to the show. Moving on to number 3, my third favorite YouTube show of 2021 is a new show, I believe, that started this year. It may have started maybe over a year old. I don't think so, though. The show started off with a different name, but now it is called Trash Tuesdays, which apparently they're going to be renaming it again, potentially. It used to be called Bloodbath, but apparently there was another podcast with that name that viciously attacked them. So they ended up changing their name, and I don't care what they call the name. It's kind of sad that some other podcasts would be so vocally against it. But, it's a weird thing. The podcast landscape, it's a very weird thing. So Trash Tuesday is another comedy podcast. This one is female-driven. It's 3 female hosts. Sometimes they have guests on, but generally it's just the 3 of them. You have Esther Pavitsky, Little Esther. You have Annie Letterman, and you have Kalila Kuhn. And Kalila is the co-host with Bobby Lee on Tiger Belly podcast. So this is a spin-off podcast, I guess you could say, because I think it's still produced by George Kimmel, who produces Tiger Belly. But it's Trash Tuesday. Comes out every Tuesday, and it's another one I enjoy watching. I enjoy the way George Kimmel produces his podcasts. It has a very similar look to Tiger Belly, which I enjoy as well. And they're funny. They're 3 funny women. It's the only podcast I listen to that's hosted by women. They're hilarious women. And because they are women, they talk about different things and have a different perspective on things. And I really enjoy it. And it's a lot of fun. It's my number 3 favorite YouTube show of last year. It's just one that every Tuesday, I put it on, and it's always a joy to listen to and watch, and it's fun to see the dynamic. Esther and Annie are both stand-up comedians. Kalila is just a podcast host, I guess you could say. Now she's with Tiger Belly, but her background, she was going to be a nurse, and then now she's been with Bobby Lee for like almost a decade, I think. And she's doing, kind of more of the creative stuff. I think she's like tried to write some scripts and pitch some shows and do some things. And I'm sure she's going to be very successful because she's extremely like intelligent and creative. She holds her own on all of these podcasts. And I enjoy it. She's great. All 3 of them are great. They play off each other so well. It's so much fun. And it's also fun because I've been a fan of comedy podcasts for a long time. Like when I started podcasting, like a week or 2 later is when Joe Rogan started podcasting. And then Joe Rogan's producer, Red Band, started his own network, started a bunch of other comedy podcasts. So I kind of got into all of those podcasts over the years. Now most of them I'm not a fan of anymore because of global events and decisions made and people feeling really comfortable being racist and things like that. So I've cut off a lot of those, but Annie has always been in that mix. Esther has, been in the mix and then also dated a lot of those other, not a lot, 2 of them. And then, of course, Kalila is tangentially related to that group of people. So it's been fun to see Esther and Annie and Kalila even, who Kalila I first saw on DVD ASA, which is one of my favorite podcasts when that was a thing, hosted by David Cho and Asa Akira. So it's been fun to see their evolutions over the years. specifically Esther starting to do edibles, which is hilarious. Like, there is a clear difference of Esther pre and post edible usage, and the post is like, just like, I don't know. It just, she seems extremely comfortable and happy, and it could just be partly because she is interacting with Annie and Kalila, but I don't know. It's been fun. It's been a fun journey to watch them all, and I've seen them do stand-up at different shows, and it's great, and I love the show, and they may change the name again, but subscribe to them, at least as of today, as of December 26th, 2021. Trash Tuesday. Check it out on YouTube. I love it. Now, number 2, my second favorite YouTube show of 2021. I believe this show was also on my list from last year, but it is here today at number 2, and that show is Tiger Belly. The other show that George Kimmel produces, the other show that Kalila Kuhn is a co-host on, but this one is also hosted by Bobby Lee, stand-up comedian, actor, sketch comedy actor. I really love Tiger Belly so much. They are like, it's been nice to have some stand-up comedians who have not fallen victim to the going hard conservative throughout the past year or two, because there are a lot of comedy podcasts that have just turned into the most, like, just painful to listen to and follow. Just like clearly pandering to like their touring audience in the Midwest or whatever, or it's just their political beliefs that they're just comfortable letting out. Either way, I have unsubscribed to the majority of comedians podcasts, and Tiger Belly is not even close to being off that list. And it's because it's so good. I enjoy Bobby Lee as a host. His awkwardness, he's funny, but he also shows a lot of respect. It's just really fun. And then the dynamic with him and Kalila as a couple, they're producers, a lot of fun. Like every aspect of Tiger Belly is a lot of fun. And again, similar aesthetic to Trash Tuesday as far as the camera views and things like that. Except for Tiger Belly, they usually have a guest on. Not always, but generally they'll have a guest on, another comedian or an actor. Recently they had Tony Hawk and I forget the other guy's name. The guy that he's got the tattoos everywhere. I'm blanking on his name. But anyway, they get a variety of actors on there, but I really enjoy it. I enjoy that show so much. And I'm happy and thankful that not every comedian has shown their true colors, as it were. Let's put it that way, because there's a lot of comics that used to have different opinions on stuff, and it seems like they're following a trend. They're following a trend of hate, which has been kind of brewing and growing for the last 6-7 years now. I don't know. But that being said, I love Tiger Belly, and they're not like political necessarily. None of these podcasts are political necessarily, but they all, let's just say they're all vaccinated. They're probably all boosted as well. But yeah, Tiger Belly, I love it. Check it out. It's one of my favorites. It's just so much fun. That's why it's my number 2. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. My number one, my favorite podcast of not my favorite podcast, my favorite YouTube show of 2021. The best, came out of nowhere. It was a show that was spawned from a couple episodes of Jeremiah Wonders that I talked about before. And that show, coming in at number one, is the one and the only Scissor Brothers. Scissor Bros. The Scissor Bros. I love Scissor Bros. And I'm so happy Scissor Bros exists. Because Steve Lee, who is the other co-host, along with Jeremiah Watkins, the host of Jeremiah Wonders, Steve Lee, who is the brother of Bobby Lee, I want to say younger brother, Steve Lee had been a guest on Jeremiah Wonders a couple times, and they were the best episodes ever. They were episodes that reminded me a lot of DVD ASA. And David Cho loves to break every single rule. There's no rules exist when you're creating art. And nobody understands that more than David Cho. And with his podcast, he did wacky. The reason I loved it is that anything could happen. Crazy stories could be told. Crazy things could happen. You don't know. It's a mystery. And similarly, when Steve Lee was on Jeremiah Wonders, it had that same kind of vibe. And I miss that vibe. I miss DVD ASA. And it's definitely different with Jeremiah and Steve Lee. Jeremiah, Christian, super clean. Not super clean, but like he definitely has. He's not a freak. Let's put it that way. He's not a degenerate. Where Steve Lee is more of a degenerate. So you have that kind of counterbalance. But they're both super positive guys. They sing songs, they do dances, they do scissors. It's like it's like a kids show for adults. I think somebody described it. It's like Sesame Street for adults. And they do challenges. They do like the Scorpion challenge that I did on my show. I got that from their show. And I love it. So they do they're competing. They go on road trips. Steve Lee has started to do comedy. So Jeremiah will take him on the road with him, and they will do shows on the road. They've done a couple live Scissor Brother episodes. I love the show. It is the most free-form, funny, creative, just like super positive energy show that's out there. And just wacky. I love it so much. Scissor Bros. Subscribe to it. It is my favorite. It is my favorite show. And I love both of those guys. I really do. It's again, Jeremiah, one of the few comics that like didn't change. They didn't go that way. Not that it seemed like he was always him and like Joel and people that were on that other podcast, they were the counterbalance to what was self-described as moderate views, but clearly were pretty far right leaning views politically. They were that counterbalance on that show. And when that show changed, went to Texas, the band stayed. Jeremiah has been putting out nothing but positivity in both of his shows and his stand-up comedy. And he's a new dad. It's just like I love supporting and following people and shows that are good people and are good, fun shows that like creatively push the boundaries. So I love Scissor Bros. I highly recommend you check it out. So that's my top 5 YouTube shows of 2021. Let's go over that list one more time, starting off with number 5, Take Your Shoes Off with Rick Glassman. Number 4 is Jeremiah Wonders with Jeremiah Watkins. Number 3 is Trash Tuesday with Kalila Kuhn, Esther Pavitsky, and Annie Letterman. Number 2 is Tiger Belly with Bobby Lee and Kalila Kuhn. Number 1 is Scissor Bros with its number 1 is Scissor Bros with Jeremiah Watkins and Steve Lee, Stevie Weeby. My favorite, Scissor Bros, number 1. So that's my top 5. Let me know if there are YouTube shows that I am missing out on. I guarantee you, if you are familiar with any of these shows, I'm probably familiar with the other shows that you might recommend to me, and I just am not a fan anymore. But recommend them anyway in the comments. Hit me up on social media, whatever it is. Let me know what your top 5 YouTube shows were for 2021. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.